Stop trying to learn AI and do what I'm going to show you in this video instead. Make sure to watch the whole thing in its entirety because I will break pretty much everything down in a step-by-step way and show you exactly what to do instead. Excuse the camera quality, by the way. I am traveling right now, so most of you guys know it's usually way better. However, let's just jump right into things. I'm gonna kind of keep the next few videos a little bit straight to the point because I'm gonna make them like this. So it's gonna be a lot of value, a lot of sauce, but let's just jump right into things. You kind of need to have some attention span though if you're going to actually get value out of this. So here's the thing. Most people running an AI agency nowadays, you guys are probably trying to learn a bunch of shit about AI, how AI works, the Claude bot, and all of these new things are super fancy, sounding cool and everything. However, that's not really what matters in the grand scheme of things. And the reason why is because everybody's out here trying to learn AI, but you're falling into this little bit of a trap when you're doing this. And the trap is not really about AI, but it's that you're falling in a trap where you're kind of trying to learn too much about AI and you think you need to know everything about AI and how AI works and code and all these things, when matter of fact, that shit doesn't matter whatsoever. And the reason why is because you were trying to sell your service to business owners that don't really care about AI either. All they care about is making more money. And if you're running an AI agency or having something to do with AI, then you don't need to know too much about AI yourself, but you should think in the same type of way. Because if you're helping business owners out there that are not really concerned about AI, but what they're concerned about is making more money, and you have your own business, well, you best believe that you should be or worried about making more money too, not worried about AI, right? And it might sound counterintuitive, I know, because you're in this AI agency space and now you think you need to know everything about AI. But a matter of fact, an AI agency is probably using, or not using, but doesn't know as much about AI as a lot of other businesses that aren't even in the AI space do. And the trap here is that you're kind of trying to overlearn, you're overstimulating, you're overlearning when it comes to AI when that's not actually the real thing that matters. The real problem is what is really going to make you more money and what's going to help out your clients the most. The thing that's going to help them out is pretty much just comes down to solving their problem. Getting them more customers, getting them more customers is going to equal more money, right? So that's actually the real problem. The real problem isn't implementing AI, learning all these things. It's how you can get them more customers, which is in return going to make them more money. If you can solve that problem, then you're going to make a lot of money running an AI agency. So you're not supposed to be out here learning too much about AI. What you should learn is how to get somebody more customers and then just use AI to get the more customers in the grand scheme of things, right? So keeping this very simple, instead of trying to learn how to code or do all of these fancy things, you can always just pay somebody to do that work and then you just focus on what really matters and take most of the cut. That's how business works, and that's what I would recommend you do. Instead of learning how to code and do all these things, focus on helping clients and get them real results, and then have other people just do the coding, the groundwork, or whatever, and you focus on getting more clients. That's what's really going to make you the most amount of money, right? So you have to think for yourself, what is actually going to make people money? Like, what can you actually do with the skills that you have and the knowledge you have about AI? Not what can you go and learn about AI to then implement XYZ, right? That's just like not a good play as a whole. So instead of doing all this coding and trying to learn these chatbots and voice AI and AI receptionists and all of these things, stop worrying about that stuff. What you should be worried about is how can I get more clients that need my help? What can I offer? What is going to actually make my clients more money? That's what's in return going to make you more money as a whole. So that's what I'm trying to kind of help you out with right here in these videos. So what's actually going to make more money? Well, like we talked about, more customers. How can you get more customers? Well, you can generate the more leads. How can you generate the more leads? Well, you can start running ads for them. How are you going to run ads for a company? Well, you can use AI to make ads for them so you don't have to make the ads yourself. Boom, mind blown, right? It is really that simple. Like that's the way you should be using AI. You shouldn't be sitting out here trying to learn how to create an app or how to code or do XYZ. Learn the specific skills when it comes to AI that's actually going to make somebody more money. And that's what's going to move the needle forward, right? So, like we use that example, you can run ads for a business. Use AI to run those ads or use AI to make those ads so the client doesn't have to make them themselves, right? What's that going to do? Well, it's going to generate them more leads. What's more leads going to do? It's going to generate them more appointments. What's more appointments going to do? It's going to generate them more money. It really is that simple, I know, but it sounds kind of crazy. So you have to have a little bit of a shift in your mindset. So instead of going around and asking yourself, what should I learn next? What's the next cool thing with AI? Or if I learn this Clawbot thing, then I can implement that into my business, which can implement that into a different business, and then I can do this. Fuck all that. Instead of asking what should I learn next, what do I need to do with AI XYZ, ask yourself, what problem can I solve using what I already know about AI, right? So what do you already know about AI and how can you use that? And if you don't know anything, how can I what problems can I solve for a business that I can just hire somebody to do, right? Because the real trick here, when what you should do instead is, instead of learning all of these things, right, just outsource the complicated AI stuff. And this is really like the why this shit is so easy, because when you're outsourcing all the coding, what's really left to do is just get clients, right? Because here's the thing you can do. What you're going to be doing, I'll literally just like give this to you step by step, like I said in the intro. So this is really all you have to focus on, is getting clients for yourself. And the reason why is probably you guys might be just thinking like, okay, but how do I get clients, or how is that, does that make sense? I have to pay somebody XYZ. Here's the thing. What you're going to do is you're going to outsource all the coding and you're going to focus on getting clients. And you're not going to pay your developers until you've actually gotten a client. And this is what most people tend to get wrong, because they look for somebody they can outsource from the get-go, somebody they have to pay monthly, and then they're like, fuck, I'm not sure about this, XYZ is going to cost money, and then they just end up never doing anything. But here's the thing you're going to do. Instead of outsourcing right away, you're going to focus on getting clients. And then once you get that client, you're going to outsource that to a developer on a commission basis, which means saying developers on commission. So that means that you're not going to pay a developer until you've actually closed somebody, right? So let's say that you close somebody for $5,000, right? You're going to use those 5,000 to pay a developer 30% of that, right? So let's say, let's just pick up the calculator right here. Let's say you close somebody for 5,000, and then you're gonna pay somebody 30%, which means you're gonna pay the developer $1,500 only when you've closed that client for 5K, because he's not gonna work until you've actually been getting or gotten paid from the client you're working with, and then you just pay 30% to that developer. So you tell them, like, you go on Upwork or wherever, and you just tell the fucking Indian, like, yo, I'm looking for somebody a developer that can work on commission basis. He's going to do XYZ for businesses, so on and so on, right? So then he's paid $1,500. And if we're just very, keeping this very simple, you're basically just left with $3,500 profit for yourself. So right there, that's the easiest way to do. Like, that's what you should be doing instead of worrying about all this coding and the AI and stuff. Just pay somebody to do it, and then you just focus on getting clients. It's really that simple. And then you can just, let's just say you paid the developer to make a AI receptionist to automate all these workflows and stuff, and then you're just running ads for the business, right? At that point, you're also fulfilling, making sure everything is going around. But what's really happening is somebody else is just doing all the fancy AI stuff while you're the one that's actually getting the clients for yourself and just focusing on what's really going to move the needle forward. And everybody's going to be happy because the Indian is going to get paid $1,500, which is a lot of money over there in the rupees and whatnot. And you're going to be left with $3,500, which is more than enough per client for you. Let's say you have 10 clients, that's 35K right there. So you have a lot of money for yourself. Everybody's happy. The business is making a lot of money. Your clients are making a lot of money. So there's really no way to go wrong, right? Because the trap that I was talking about is you're probably looking to pay a developer before you have closed. And if that's the case, you might be struggling with closing clients. So the first month or two, you're going to be spending a 3K just for a developer, but you haven't even closed the client, right? But if you do it this way instead, you can actually get the money way before you've even closed, or you can have the money before you've actually paying any developers. So that's really like the trick you guys should be focusing on from the get-go. I hope that helps. Now you might also be asking like, okay, how would I even like find these types of developers? And here it's really easy. Just go to upwork.com and then you're just going to write a job application and just make sure that in the job application you're going to list that you're looking for a developer that can do XYZ, but they have to, like, you have to make sure you have this in your application. Just say you're going to be working on a commission basis, getting X% from every single close in our company, which means you're not paying anybody until you've actually closed, which then you guys can agree upon a percentage, whether that be 20, 30, 40%, all depends on the developer and how good their work actually is. Once you find somebody you can partner up with, you guys can just kind of go back and forth for every single client that you close. You'll have everything you need in basically you guys' partnership, right? Because he's going to get a lot of clients to make these AI things for, and you're going to have a lot of clients yourself. So I hope that helps. Do that instead of chasing all these developers and worrying about that from the get-go. It's just going to save you so much time, such a headache, because you don't have to be sitting there trying to learn everything about AI yourself, but you can just have somebody else do it and then just learn the things that are actually going to move the needle forward, and also just use the skill sets that you already have instead of worrying about all these random things. Hope that helps. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.